Okay, welcome everybody. I'm so happy that you joined me for my talk about Asteroid Goddess Pandora. And yeah, I have slides and I would say we just dive in. Let's see. Can you see that? Okay, perfect. Okay, so today I want to talk about Pandora. And first, some words about me. So for everyone who does not know me, I'm Verena Borell, and my astrological work is based on evolutionary astrology in the lineage of Jeffrey Wolf Green, and I enrich evolutionary astrology with the Akashic records, with other branches of astrology, my own intuition, and my own spiritual guidance. And I live, create, and work in Villach, which is in the south of Austria. And yeah, some words around my approach to astrology. For me, astrology is a divine tool for deconditioning, healing, soul rewilding, and the raising of consciousness on an individual and, of course, on a collective level. And for me, the cosmos reflects the overarching energies of evolution that are in the field, and therefore astrology helps us to navigate our soul's experience in Earth School and to co-create consciously. And yeah, I give one-on-one astrology sessions, and I teach astrology in programs and workshops in German and English language. Yeah, some more words about that later. But yeah, let's start and dive into Pandora. Just a quick reminder, I will talk about that more at the end of this presentation. This talk is just one part of an ongoing workshop series with the name Conversations with the Goddesses that I'm giving with my friend Martha Alter-Heinz. Okay, a little disclaimer. I tried to label all of the pictures that I used in this presentation with the correct artist. However, I used some images where I do not know the artist, and I apologize for that because it's very important for me to honor the artists. But yeah, if you know the name of an artist that is not named in the presentation, please let me know. What will we cover today? First, we talk about Pandora's Hellenic and pre-Hellenic myth, then her archetype, themes, and topics. Then we go to Pandora's astronomy and the astrology of asteroid Pandora and her current transits. Here are some of my sources, Wikipedia, and a book that I highly recommend to everyone who's interested in the pre-Hellenic myths of goddesses, the book Lost Goddesses of Early Greece by Charlene Spretnak. Then the Sacred Rebels Oracle deck by Alana Fairchild, which has an oracle card about Pandora, which I found very inspiring. And at least my own chart, my experiences, my intuition, and Pandora herself. And maybe just for the astro freaks in the audience, my Pandora is my Pluto polarity point. So Pandora, asteroid Pandora, is exactly in opposition to my Pluto. So she feels really, I feel really connected on a deep level with her. Okay, let's start with the mythology. Pandora is the first human woman, and she was created by Hephaestus on the instructions of Zeus, the father of the gods. And as the author Hesiod related it, each god cooperated by giving her unique gifts. And Hermes, Mercury, gives her the name Pandora. And Pandora means all gifted and all giving. So let's talk about the classic Hellenic mythology of Pandora. So Pandora's mythology is really, we find Pandora's mythology in different cultures. So the origin is in Greek, but we find different versions of the stories in different cultures and different mythologies. And Pandora's myth tries to explain how evil came into the world. And yeah, to say it very directly, Pandora really was a tool for the revenge of Zeus. So Zeus was angry because, and Zeus wanted to damage humanity after humankind received the fire from Prometheus. So as a revenge, Zeus created Pandora, this beautiful woman, as an all-gifted woman, but he gave her a jar full of countless plagues. So we see Pandora really is this tool of Zeus because he wanted to damage humanity. And Zeus told Pandora, do not open the jar because Zeus knew. Then he says, Pandora, that she is not allowed to open the jar. She will, of course, open the jar. Pandora was getting very curious and opened the jar, and all evils flew into the world. But underneath the evil, there was hope. And now we have two versions of the mythology, as we have so often. In one version, hope remained in the jar. Hope never came out into the world. So humankind just received the countless plagues. And there's another version, another interpretation, hope came out of the jar, but sometimes later. And now we can ask the question, and I will talk about that more later when we talk about the topics. Does hope really help us? Or does hope make it even worse? Because when we have hope, we endure the evils of the world. And I will later make a little differentiation between active hope and passive hope. So the mythology tells us that Pandora was the first human woman. And I asked myself, okay, how did humankind live before Pandora was created? And this is now a quote by Wikipedia. And I just say, hello, patriarchy. I read it out loud. Hesiod outlines how the end of man's golden age, an all-male society of immortals who were reverent to the gods, worked hard, and ate from abundant groves of fruit, was brought on by Prometheus. When he, Prometheus, stole fire from Mount Olympus and gave it to mortal man, Zeus punished the technologically advanced society by creating a woman. Thus, Pandora was created and given the jar, mistranslated as box, which releases all evils upon man. And I mean, that's again such a wonderful or not so wonderful example how dominator culture repressed feminine energies. I'm not talking about women, I'm talking about feminine energies and feminine archetypes. Okay, let's dive into the themes around Pandora. Well, actually, I'm not sure. Let me just, okay. I just wanted to double check that I did not miss file. Okay, themes. When I connected with Pandora, I felt so strongly the Gemini and Scorpio archetype with her. So this curiosity that brings us into our depth. And when you study astrology, you know that Gemini and Scorpio build by sign and in conjunct. So they don't see each other, they have nothing in common, not the modality, not the energy, not the element. And for me, Pandora stands really for this combination of the Gemini and Scorpio archetype, this innocent curiosity. The innocent curiosity that we have that brings us to the deepest places. The places that others and or we ourselves try to hide and neglect. And here really the Gemini archetype, why do I say innocent? Because for me, Gemini is really this curiosity that brings our soul into this life. So really the curiosity of our soul to incarnate at first step, and then our curiosity that makes us that we want to learn. So the baby that wants to discover the world. Our curiosity really helps us to evolve. Because of our curiosity, we want to learn constantly, and we want to discover and learn new things constantly. So Gemini, our curiosity is really so important for our soul's evolution. And there is an innocence. And for me, Pandora is really this, she has this innocent curiosity. And when she opens the jar, her curiosity brings her to really deep topics, to evil, to darkness. And with Pandora, there is no superficiality. So Pandora is maybe really this part inside of us that is not satisfied with the superficiality of life and wants to look beneath the surface, wants to open that beautiful jar or box. Pandora as a troublemaker. And I think that can be a very painful experience that you maybe have, already experienced in your life, that others see you as the troublemaker because you show something that is there and that others don't want to see. So from the outside, Pandora can look like the troublemaker who destroys the peace, who destroys the wonderful all-man golden age society, because she's bringing the evil, because she opens the jar. But actually, she just opens the jar. The evil is already there. She is not creating evil. So Pandora is not the cause of challenges. She's the part of us that knows that there is something deep down that wants to be revealed. With Pandora, we are often the ones that open the box or the jar so that others see how ill the system that we are living in is really. And for example, I had mental illnesses when I was younger. And so I was the one in the family that was the troublemaker. But actually, I showed that something more deeper was ill in a way. So we often have this, that one person in a system seems like the black sheep or the troublemaker, but he or she or they are just showing something that is there and that is not working any longer. We can also ask us with Pandora, are the plagues inherited? So Pandora is just the keeper of the jar of plagues, and she did not cause or create them. She took over the jar filled with plagues from the gods. So when we dive deeper into that, we can think that opening Pandora's box can mean that we bring something to the surface that we inherited from our ancestors, took unconsciously over from our caregivers, or brought with us from past lives. The next big topic is shame and wholeness. So as I already mentioned, Zeus punished humanity for their rebellion by creating Pandora. So guilt and punishment are topics that might be related with our Pandora experiences. So Pandora might come with the feeling of being punished and guilty because we are maybe too rebellious, too curious, or because we want too much. And on the other hand, and this is, when you ask me, one of the biggest medicines that Pandora holds for us, is this idea of wholeness. So Pandora is all gifted and all giving. With Pandora, we learn to accept and love ourselves with all of our parts. She reminds us of our gifts. With her, we learn that our evil sides are often our true treasures. Beauty and power is another topic that I feel strongly with Pandora. So Pandora is this archetype of a beautiful and gifted woman, but she has so much more depth. And maybe Pandora represents our need to show the world that we are more than just our appearance and beauty, and that we are the gatekeepers to something very powerful, very deep, very true. Let's come to Pandora and hope. So as I already told you, hope was underneath the plagues and did not come out or came out later, dependent on the author and the interpretation. So can hope help us? And I mean, there are many different facets of hope, but I feel we can differentiate between two sides of hope. Active hope, or what I call active hope. Active hope can inspire us so that we embrace our self-responsibility and change our circumstances. So this hope that turns into inspired action because we see it already. Or is hope the worst plague? So when we have passive hope can make us enduring the evils of the world so that we become lethargic and give our power away to external forces. So we often see that in religious backgrounds where maybe people give up their power because they hope that God will change their circumstances, or that an external authority will change their circumstances. And in this version of hope is really disempowering. Let's come to the jar. So we learned that it was actually not a box. So this was just a mistranslation of the Greek word pitos, which originally means jar. And of course, the jar, when I saw the jar, I was thinking about, okay, is it a symbol of the feminine like a cup? And if you ask me, yes, it is, because of this whole mythology around another story where feminine energies and feminine archetypes are repressed. So the jar or cup contains the evil of the world. So another way to demonize the feminine principle. So the jar as symbol of the feminine contains the evil. Yes, of course, because a jar contains liquids, and liquids can be brought in connection with emotions or symbolize emotions, and emotions can overwhelm a linear masculine principle. So again, I'm not talking about men and women, I'm talking about feminine and masculine energies. So I think that, yeah, that is something we can keep in our mind. The jar, liquids, emotions, overwhelming emotions, overflowing forces, powerful forces like the ocean that are maybe, yeah, that are from the perspective of a domineering principle, evil and bad. But there's another story of Pandora. There's the original myth. And I have that from the book Lost Goddesses of Early Greek by Charles Spretnak. In the original myth, Pandora is the maiden form of the earth goddess who brings abundance in her great jar. And Pandora is born of the earth and not made by a male god. And this is a quote from Charles Spretnak's book. I bring you wonder, curiosity, memory. I bring you wisdom. I bring you justice with mercy. I bring you caring and communal bonds. I bring you courage, strength, endurance. I bring you loving kindness for all beings. I bring you seeds of peace. So and that is what I really feel with Pandora, Pandora's wisdom, Pandora's medicine. With Pandora, we really learn to love all of our parts and facets. Pandora reminds us that abundance includes all that is, that we are all gifted and all giving. And with that, her archetype questions any ideas around evil, punishment, and guilt. With Pandora, we learn that sometimes asking uncomfortable questions and being curious brings us to our truth and our treasures. Really this Gemini curiosity that brings us into our Scorpio depth. And with Pandora, we reject to become demonized and shamed for our innocence. Pandora did not create evil. She was just curious and showed something that was already there. So you can ask yourself, how do you relate to your evil side? Is it a guilt? Is it a treasure? And here are some possible questions, and feel free to take a screenshot to journal with them later. How do you relate to your inner gifts and plagues? Do you feel guilty even though you have not caused the problem? And why are you doing that? How do you relate to your curiosity? Have you experienced situations in which your curiosity brought you into trouble? What have you learned through these experiences? Have you experienced that others judge and blame you to be the troublemaker? Can you see your ability to show others what's ill and needs healing as a gift? Okay, now we come to the astrology and astronomy. So you find her, the asteroid Pandora, as asteroid 55, which is kind of magical too, in your astrology program or on astro.com. And asteroid Pandora, asteroid Pandora is part of the main asteroid belt, and the main asteroid belt is between Mars and Jupiter. So I think you see my cursor, right? This biggie here is Jupiter, and this is Mars. And here is the main asteroid belt, and Pandora is one part of that. So the asteroids that are part of this main asteroid belt are between the social planets, Jupiter and Saturn, and the personal planets. Mars. They are like a bridge between the personal and the social. And Pandora was discovered by American astronomer and Catholic priest, which I found quite interesting, George Mary Searle on September 10th in 1858. And it's a fairly large and very bright asteroid in the asteroid belt. And Pandora takes 4.58 years to orbit the sun. And attention, there is the moon of Saturn that is also called Pandora, which is interesting too. But I focused on asteroid Pandora here. Okay, currently, today, Pandora just hopped into Aries. So she was in Pisces and now she's in Aries. Currently on July 6th, she's in 1 degree, 1 minute Aries, conjunct Neptune and Pisces, opposite Ceres and 4 degree Libra, and trine Black Moon Lilith in 29 degree Cancer. And Pandora was conjunct Saturn and Pisces from the end of March until May 20, exact on April 17, and she will station retrograde in 4 degrees Aries on August 8, and she will station direct in 22 degree Pisces on November 4. So it might be interesting for you because when planets or asteroids in this case station go retrograde, often the topics are very alive. So maybe it's good that we have this presentation now, so you have Pandora in your mind and your heart for the time between August and November. Pandora conjuncts Neptune and Pisces exactly 3 times. The first hit was already on June 22nd. Then she will conjunct Neptune in October and the third time in November. And just for your reflection, if you want to dive deeper with Pandora, here is her retrograde phase in 2022. So she was retrograde in Sagittarius and Scorpio, and in 2024 and 25, she will stay retrograde in Leo and will go direct in Cancer. Okay, I brought you the charts from Pandora conjuncts. I have to arrange. I see what I have written. Pandora conjunct Neptune in October and in November. And it's so interesting because in both charts, she has such close relationships to Venus and to the nodes. So we see that Pandora is on the apex point together with Neptune of a yod. This aspect pattern we call a yod when there are 2 in conjunct and a sextile, or another word is the finger of God. And she is together with Neptune on the apex point, and the yod is formed between Venus plus Juno and Mars and the south node in Libra. And when Pandora conjunct Neptune in November, there's again an in conjunct, this time no yod, not 2 in conjunct, just 1, between Pandora again with Venus. And Venus is then in Libra with the south node. So in October, Mars is with the south node, and in November, it's Venus. What does that mean, or what can that mean, if you ask me? So with this Pandora together first with Saturn, then with Neptune, I think that these whole topics around shame, guilt, punishment, grief, Saturn and Pisces, and also self-compassion, self-forgiveness, Neptune, are very loud and in the field. And we are in Pisces, so it's all about release, end of a cycle, end of a story, letting go, washing away. releasing of any ideas around punishment for what you have done, not done, or what you are. And for me, Pandora, together with Neptune, especially in Pisces, is this archetype of deep self-compassion, self-forgiveness, and self-love. And then when we look at Pandora with Mars, Venus, and the South Node in Libra and Leo, with Libra and Leo, we can have topics around self-expression and self-expectations. And for me, when we look at Pandora in this cosmic dance, she tells us that full self-expression, Venus and Leo, can really happen when we consider all parts of ourselves as gifts. So when we see ourselves as all giving and all gifted, we can fully and authentically self-express and are no longer dependent on the applause or the recognition or the acknowledgement of others. We are no longer having the feeling that we must fulfill certain expectations to be loved, Venus in Libra. But when we consider ourselves, the whole jar of our soul, of our beingness, as all giving and all gifted, we really become independent from external judgment and external validation. So the release of the idea that we must fulfill external expectations or please and appease others. And when I meditated on Pandora together with Neptune, it's really this message of you are loved unconditionally by the divine. Everything that is you is a gift, and you are created by Source. Okay, before we dive into questions, I wanted to say that I felt, so this whole presentation, I created this whole presentation for our Goddess Workshop series. Martha Alter-Heinz and I have this workshop series, Conversations with the Goddesses, that started in January and is an ongoing journey. You can join at any time. And after I gave the workshop, the Pandora workshop for the workshop series, I felt really called by Pandora to share it with more souls. Pandora really wanted to talk to you, to many of us. And just that you know, in this workshop series, we combine presentations like this with embodied meditations. That means in the workshop series, after such a presentation, we dive into a channeled meditation. So I and Martha together channel the goddess so that you experience the goddess energy as it dances and expresses as you. And each month we cover one goddess asteroid or planetary body. So this month it's Pandora. Next month we will dive into Pallas Athena. Before that we already had Ceres, Persephone, Hecate. And each month includes one workshop with a channeled goddess meditation journey and one sharing circle in our goddess community. And some more goddess love. So I myself give a workshop about the upcoming Venus cycle in Leo on July 14th in German language and on July 15th in English language. And of course, there are recordings if you cannot join live. And in the 2-hour or maybe a little bit longer workshop, you will learn more about the different phases of Venus 90 months long cycle, the topics of Venus in Leo and the Venus in Leo cycle, how you can sync with the Venus cycle, and how you can create your offerings and circles as a coach, healing practitioner, astrology space holder with Venus, and how you can support your clients with Venus wisdom. And why Venus now? Venus starts her new cycle in Leo on August 13th. Okay, let's stay connected. All of these links. So I highly recommend, if you want to join more free resources, there is a free Venus guide in German and in English language. So you can decide. And when you click on the links below the video, when the video is uploaded on EA Zoom meetings, yeah, you can download it for free. And the other links to contact me, my homepage. On my homepage, you find all of my one-on-one offerings, all of my courses and workshops, and my programs in German and English language. And yeah, I'm always happy if you follow me on Instagram. I'm very active on Instagram. And you find me at Verena Borell Astrology on YouTube too. So I have my own YouTube channel. Yeah, and if you don't like Instagram, the newsletter is the best way to stay connected and to receive free astro and energy updates. Okay. And yeah, how do you feel about Pandora? Are there any questions, reflections? I would love to hear.
Verena, that was wonderful. That was just great. So if anybody has any questions, you can either, wave at me or raise your hand in the, in the participants, or actually maybe it's in more now. Oh, no, it's in reactions. You can raise your hand or because I'll need to unmute you. But I love I love that she's going retrograde in kind of in parallel with Venus.
Yeah, I think that's so interesting, and that what I said at the end, this idea that we just can. So Venus and Leo is really for me so much about the stepping into your creatrix energy, really allowing yourself to self-express and to show up as you are. And we can just do that when we really own the fullness of our jar. So when we really don't feel like we must be punished because of who we are, that if you really, on the one hand, embrace who we are and own that, but on the other hand, clearly see and differentiate what we maybe have taken over, what is not us, what is not ours. So yeah,
and that fear of unleashing all the ills of the world.
Right. I noticed that Pandora is conjunct my Pluto and my Sun.
Oh wow, yeah. Then I can imagine that you can relate to this archetype and maybe the troublemaker archetype and opening the box too. Yeah.
And the curiosity.
Yeah. I mean, I have Pandora. Pandora is opposite my Pluto. I'm Pluto in Scorpio generation, so my Pandora is in Taurus. But I have so much Gemini in the chart too, so I can relate so much with this archetype.
Right. Yeah, and it's in my 8th house.
Okay. Opening the jar.
I have it conjunct Black Moon Lilith and opposite Asteroid Lilith. And so, yeah, opening that jar is a big fear. I mean, it is a fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I have Venus and Leo. So, there's that as well. So we're going to be experiencing it.
So you have natally Venus and Leo?
I do.
Woohoo, that's gonna be a big year for you.
And Pluto in Leo.
Extra big.
Yeah, huge topic. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so this is really strikes home for me. I thank you very much.
So are there any questions? If anyone, I know, I think all of who are here now. If you have any questions afterwards in the next days, you can contact me via mail or via Instagram private message too. So yeah. And if you want to dive deeper into your goddesses, feel free to book a session with me. I'm happy to talk about your Pandora and your chart. Claudia.
Okay, Claudia, let me unmute you. I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Hi, everybody. Hello, Verena. Thank you so much for this presentation and all your insights and your wisdom and many inspirations. I was wondering, what is the right strategy for us as our Pandora parts in us? What is the right conflict management strategy when we show the world what it is, but the world doesn't want to see it? So what's the right strategy to do this conflict management with humankind or with certain types of groups? Yeah.
That's such an important and good question. Let me feel into that. I have the feeling that with Pandora, very important is not to get overwhelmed and not to get entangled into topics around blame and shame and guilt. And I think it's very important to differentiate and to be very clear what is your part of the story and what not. So not allowing others to blame you for something that you are just showing, but that you did not create. And really staying aligned with your truth and believing in your own, in a way, in your own innocence often, because often it's just innocence, which brings us into the situation that we open the box. And on the other hand, I think a lot of compassion and self-compassion. So really this idea of releasing ideas of punishment, blame, guilt, shame, and just trying to create an atmosphere of Gemini openness, curiosity, and more this, okay, now we have it, now the evils are here, let's look at it together, let's try to figure out new ways, new solutions, and let's just accept that it's here and not try to get entangled in who brought it. So does that help?
Yes, that's what I thought too. Because it's kind of this, I'm the messenger, I'm not the message, and I didn't write the message, so I just transfer it to you. This is the role of Pandora. That's my impression from Pandora. And what I also think that's what's very important is to stay connected in oneself, but also in this connection to the divine and the connection to the earth. So that there's this strength and this direction.
I totally agree. I totally agree with you. I think it's really important with Pandora that we don't get entangled in this feelings of self-shame or something like that, that we really stay in our true power and in our alignment, as you said, with the divine and with the earth. And this sentence that I just read from the original myth, from the pre-hellenic myth of Pandora, really where she brings the jar of abundance and really, reframing sometimes, because from a human standpoint, often situations that are, often things are challenges. And when we look at it from a higher standpoint or perspective, often it's a gift. And I think Pandora is telling us that too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Claudia.
Okay, let's see, Naomi, let me ask you to unmute.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I also really wanted to thank you for opening this perspective and yeah, sharing about this beautiful mythology and the meaning of it. And I simply wanted to share that, like, my impression or my experience of and my relationship to these themes. I just figured out that Pandora is really in that close to my Jupiter, and so it kind of, for me, it feels like it's almost natural, or I'm stepping more and more into, okay, this detachment and this curiosity, and that it's just, yeah, kind of the Jupiter is helping me in that regard. Yeah, that there's no attachment to everything that's inside of that box, but that I can really approach it with curiosity, and that, yeah, there's so much truth in everything. Yeah, just wanted to share that, and maybe you also have an impulse on that placement.
Yeah, it's in Cancer, Naomi, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I love what you just shared from what comes up inside of you, and I think too that there is this connection between Pandora with Jupiter, with this your truth, this deep knowing that it's a gift, and it's sometimes sometimes it might be challenging, but this being the gatekeeper to such a large truth in a way. And in Cancer too, I think this self-discovery as seeing everything that you are, Pandora, as nourishing in a way, and as a service, and as, yeah, part of your, I feel a strong motherly spirit with that placement too. So there's really nurturing and nourishing the Pandora that has the jar full of abundance, Jupiter, and nourishment. It's really a jar in Cancer, I think, with really a vessel, a cup, an overflowing cup, which contains everything, actually. So yeah, maybe learning to handle this too, learning to handle the everything, which can be quite sometimes overwhelming too, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
I do not see any other hands raised or questions in the chat or comments.
But these two questions were really, really wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Verena. That was really awesome to learn about Pandora.
Yeah, and just to be completely open, I'm not working with Pandora since centuries or years. I'm really connected with these archetypes some time ago, and I'm still learning. So if you have any reflections about Pandora, especially maybe when she's going retrograde now in autumn, feel free to reach out. I'm super happy to learn about your experiences with this archetype, because I think we experience these archetypes together, especially these asteroid goddesses that are not where there are no texts about asteroid goddess Pandora. So
Right.
really
It'll
about
be
our
interesting to observe.
yeah. I have not found any text about the mythology of Pandora, of course, but not about the asteroid.
Right.
So my approach with the asteroids, especially for this goddess series, is really to connect directly with it, to really, listen what she wants to tell us, and to look at my own experiences and on clients' experiences. So we are all in this process of discovering these goddess asteroids and archetypes together. So feel free to reach out if you have any experiences that remind you of Pandora, or if you have, anything. This workshop should just really literally open the box and give you maybe a new perspective on an old archetype, an old story.
Okay, I'm gonna unmute Tatsi. Before Tatsi comes in, I think Dimitra George may have touched a little bit on Pandora in her
She
book.
mentions it briefly.
I think there's one page in her book, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
So
just reading it last night.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Tatsi.
Well, I just wanted to thank you, Verena, because what a powerful, wonderful archetype.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
It's like she's reaching out her hand and inviting us all to like step into our truth.
Yeah, Tatsi, I totally agree with you. And it was so strong. I mean, I did the workshop for the workshop series, but it was so clearly for me that I want to share it with more listeners, because I think, I felt really called. Pandora called me out to share her wisdom, and I'm happy that you can connect with her, Tatsi.
Open the box. Open the jar. Thank you, Verena. This was wonderful.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Robin. Thanks everyone who was here. I'm super excited that you joined, and thank you.
We'll see you next time.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.